You are $8,000 in credit card debt, and the worst part is, you cannot even point to a single thing you bought. There is no designer wardrobe hanging in your closet. There are no photos of a luxurious European vacation on your social media feed. There is no sports car parked in your driveway. This morning, just like every other morning, you woke up at 6, brewed a pot of cheap coffee in your kitchen, put on a shirt you bought 3 years ago, and drove a 6-year-old sedan to a job you have held for half a decade. You consider yourself a responsible adult. You work hard. You pay your taxes. You do not gamble. Yet, every time you open your banking app, that glowing red number is waiting for you. $8,000. This is a paradox that millions of people are currently trapped inside. Society has conditioned you to believe that crippling debt only comes for the reckless. We are told that financial ruin is the result of wild spending, gambling addictions, or a complete lack of self-control. But the truth is far more silent and far more mathematical. You are not going broke because you are living a life of luxury. You are quietly bleeding out financially simply because you are trying to maintain a completely normal life. To understand how this happened, you have to rewind the clock to exactly 2 years ago. The shift did not happen with a massive, catastrophic financial shock. It happened with 1,000 tiny, invisible cuts. The price of a standard basket of groceries quietly crept up by 30%. Your electricity bill spiked. The cost of filling up your gas tank steadily climbed. But the number on your bi-weekly paycheck stayed exactly the same. You started noticing that by the 3rd week of the month, your checking account was dangerously close to zero. And that is when the plastic card made its first appearance. It was just $100 to cover groceries for the week. It was just $50 to top off the gas tank so you could get to work. It was just $200 to replace a worn-out tire before the winter hit. You told yourself the lie that everyone tells themselves. You said you would just pay it off in full next month. And in your mind, these were perfectly rational decisions. You cannot simply stop eating, and you absolutely need your car to get to the office to earn a living. But when the next month rolled around, the cost of living had not dropped. The gap between your income and your expenses was still there. So you swiped the card again. The modern financial system does not need you to make a massive, life-altering mistake to trap you. It only needs inflation to erode your purchasing power, combined with your own psychological refusal to aggressively downgrade your standard of living. You are currently using high-interest credit to fund a lifestyle that your income can no longer support. But you do not feel the danger yet because the outward facade of your life still looks completely stable. Then comes the 10th of the month. You receive an email notification from your bank. Your monthly statement is ready. The total balance is $8,000, but the bank's user interface is incredibly clever. The largest, most prominent number on the screen is not the $8,000 you owe. It is the minimum payment due, $150. You let out a long sigh of relief. $150 is a number you can manage. You tap the payment button. A bright green checkmark appears on your screen, accompanied by a satisfying little animation. "Thank you for your payment," the app says. In that exact moment, a rush of dopamine floods your brain. You feel like you have successfully handled your responsibilities. You feel a false sense of control over your financial situation. A few weeks later, the bank even sends you a congratulatory message. Because of your excellent payment history, they have generously increased your credit limit from $10,000 to $15,000. You smile. You actually think the system is rewarding you for being a good customer. But what you do not realize is that they are not increasing your limit because they trust you. They are increasing your limit because their algorithms know exactly how stuck you are. By paying exactly $150 a month on an $8,000 balance with a 22% interest rate, you have just signed a financial life sentence. Even if you never swipe that card again, it will take you more than 14 years to pay off that debt. And you will pay over $9,000 in pure interest. You are literally buying your own groceries from 2 years ago at double the original price. This is the illusion of progress. The system is perfectly engineered to keep you in a state of financial purgatory. You are not wealthy enough to escape, but you are not broke enough to declare bankruptcy. You have become the perfect cash-flowing asset for the banking sector, dutifully handing over a portion of your labor every single month, just to maintain the illusion that you are still living a normal life. Let us look deeper into how your brain is coping with this reality. Every evening, after a long, exhausting day at work, you lie on the couch and scroll through social media. You see your coworkers buying brand new cars. You see your college friends checking in at expensive resorts. They look genuinely happy. They look successful. An invisible weight starts pressing down on your chest. You do not want to be left behind. You do not want your children to feel like they are missing out. And most importantly, you do not want to admit to anyone that your financial foundation is crumbling. So, you make a decision that feels completely harmless in the moment. You book a short weekend getaway for your family. It costs another $800. Your logical brain flashes a warning about the lingering balance on your card. But your emotional brain quickly finds the perfect justification. You tell yourself that you work hard every single day and you deserve a little bit of joy. With a soft beep from the card reader, that $800 is added to your balance. You have just used your future to buy a temporary sedative for your present. Financial collapse is rarely a loud, shocking explosion. It is more like a house being hollowed out by termites. From the outside, the fresh coat of paint looks great. The roof is completely intact. You still go to work, you still attend weekend barbecues, and you still wear decent clothes. But the internal structure is quietly rotting away. You no longer own your own income. A massive portion of the money you earn on the first of the month has already been promised to other people months or even years in advance. To the banks, to the credit card companies, and to the auto loan providers. You are merely playing the role of a middleman, transferring money from your employer straight into the pockets of financial institutions. The harder you try to maintain the label of being normal, the deeper you dig your own grave. You are terrified of living below your means, because living below your means requires facing reality. It means admitting that you are not as wealthy as you pretend to be. It means saying no to dinner invitations. And that shame is something most people simply cannot face. They would rather carry a massive burden of debt in total silence than admit financial weakness. Fast forward another year, your debt has not magically disappeared. In fact, because you kept living your normal life while ignoring the math, it has quietly grown to $25,000. At 22% interest, your balance is now generating over $450 in interest every single month. That is money vanishing into thin air. It is a car payment for a vehicle you do not get to drive. You are now working the first 5 days of every month purely to pay the bank for the privilege of buying your own groceries a year ago. This is the silent erosion of the middle class. You are trapped in a cycle where your income is continuously drained by past decisions, leaving nothing for your future. Yet you still refuse to downgrade your lifestyle. You keep the subscription services. You keep ordering takeout on Fridays. You keep buying new clothes for the changing seasons. You are fighting a losing battle against inflation and compound interest simultaneously. You feel like a frog sitting in a pot of water that is slowly getting warmer. You feel a little uncomfortable, but not enough to jump out. You still believe that just one pay raise or one end-of-year bonus will magically fix everything. But the water is about to reach its boiling point, and the financial system is about to test exactly how fragile your normal life really is. That night, you do not sleep. You sit at your kitchen table, staring at a blank piece of paper. For the first time in your adult life, you are forced to look at the raw, unfiltered truth of your financial existence. You write down every single debt. The credit cards, the personal loans you took to consolidate old credit cards, the auto loan. The total number is staggering, $40,000 in consumer debt, and your checking account currently holds exactly $42. The panic is suffocating, but mixed with the panic is a strange, cold clarity. The illusion is completely shattered. You finally understand that you have been playing a rigged game and you have lost. The next morning, you make the hardest decision of your life. You do not call the bank to beg for another credit line increase. You do not apply for another balance transfer. Instead, you walk into your kitchen, open a drawer, and take out a pair of heavy scissors. You place the 4 shiny plastic cards on the table. These cards were your safety net, your status symbol, your magic wand that made problems disappear. With a deep breath, you cut them into tiny, useless pieces. The physical act of destroying your access to debt feels like cutting off your own air supply. It is terrifying, but it is also the very first step toward actual freedom. You are declaring bankruptcy on your false identity. Now begins the brutal phase of financial surrender. The lifestyle you thought was perfectly normal has to die so that your future can live. You call a towing company, but not to take your broken car to the mechanic. You have them tow it to a used car dealership, where you sell it for a massive loss just to clear the auto loan and walk away with $1,000 in cash. You use that cash to buy an incredibly ugly 15-year-old compact car that rattles when it hits 50 miles per hour. It is embarrassing. When you pull into the parking lot at work the next day, you park far away from the entrance so your coworkers will not see you step out of it. You cancel every single subscription. You stop eating at restaurants entirely. Your diet becomes aggressively simple: rice, beans, frozen vegetables, and cheap cuts of meat. But the hardest part is not the math. The hardest part is the ego. It is the Friday night when your friends text you to meet them at that new downtown steakhouse. For years, you would have just swiped the card and worried about it later. Tonight, you have to type the words, "I cannot afford to go." When you press send, a wave of intense shame washes over you. You imagine them pitying you. You imagine them wondering where you went wrong. This is the lonely middle of financial redemption. You are working harder than you ever have, yet you look poorer than you did 5 years ago. You even take on a second job, stocking shelves at a local grocery store on weekends. Your co-workers at your corporate job do not understand why you look so exhausted on Monday mornings. You do not tell them. You suffer in absolute silence, absorbing the consequences of your past decisions. Then you change your strategy. Instead of just paying the minimums, you deploy a ruthless mathematical approach. You organize your debts not by balance, but by interest rate. The card charging 24% becomes your absolute enemy. Every single spare dollar you make from the weekend job, every dollar you save from not eating out, goes directly toward that specific balance. You pay the minimum on everything else, but you attack the highest interest debt with vicious intensity. This is the Avalanche method. You are stopping the bleeding at its source. The first 6 months are agonizing. You throw $1,000 extra at the debt, but the interest eats up half of it. It feels like trying to empty the ocean with a spoon. But you refuse to stop. You keep driving the rattling car. You keep wearing the old shirts. You keep stocking shelves on Saturday nights while your friends are out drinking. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the math begins to shift. A year passes. You finally eliminate the first credit card completely. The balance hits zero. The minimum payment you used to send to that card every month is now freed up. You take that money, combine it with your extra income, and hurl it at the second card like a snowball rolling down a mountain. Now you are paying chunks of $500, then $800 a month against the principal. The 22% compound interest that was slowly killing you has been neutralized. The tables have turned. You are now dictating the terms of your financial life. Fast forward 3 years. You are sitting at the exact same kitchen table. You are wearing a shirt that is now 5 years old. You are still driving the 15-year-old car, though you have learned to fix the minor issues yourself. To the outside world, you look completely stagnant. Your friends think you have lost your ambition. They think you are just scraping by. But you open your banking app. There are no glowing red numbers. Your total consumer debt is exactly zero. And right next to it, in your checking account, sits a fully funded 6-month emergency fund. For the first time in your adult life, your paycheck actually belongs to you. When the first of the month arrives, the money lands in your account and it stays there. It does not immediately scatter to 4 different banks to pay for groceries you ate for years ago. You did not get a massive promotion. You did not win the lottery. You simply stopped subsidizing a fake normal life and started funding a real one. You no longer care what your coworkers drive. You no longer care about the vacation photos on social media, because you have discovered a secret that they do not know yet. You have bought back your own time, your own peace of mind, and your own future. And the silence in your head, the complete absence of financial panic when you go to sleep at night, is a luxury that no credit card can ever buy.